Now let's look at soft voting. So here what we look at is, so any programming language you are using, it is Python or R, or any classification setting you use. So one of the way the model can predict is actually the classes. So in this case, if there are two classes, you are predicting that, okay, this is a C1 or this is a C2 on a particular observation. So another set of output also can be a vector, a probability vector, where your output is something like this: 0.8, 0.2. The sum will be 1, and what essentially you are telling is that this classifier 1 is telling that for this particular observation, classifier 1 is the class with 80% probability, and classifier 2 is the class with 20% probability. So it is not 1 and 0, which I was telling or emphasizing in case of hard decision. Okay, so it is 0.8 and 0.2. So how this changes our game? So now if I am trying to do a classification on an unknown data, okay, on an unknown data, so what I'm doing is that I'm looking at the classifier 1's probability on C1 and C2. So this is 0.51 and 0.49. So that's why it said that it is C1. Classifier 2 said had 0.2 and 0.8. So as the probability was higher for C2, that's why classifier 2 told its decision to be C2. And if you look at classifier 3, again it has told it to be class 1 because class 1's probability was more. But in soft voting, what it does is it actually looks at the probability and takes an average. So if I take an average over here, I get a 0.41, and if I take an average of the probability here, I get a 0.59. Okay, so you see that what decision I was taking at a hard voting level, where the classifiers were just telling it is 1 or 0, their vote in terms of 1 and 0. Here the vote can be actually between 0 to 1. Okay, so that's why you call it as a soft voting scheme. And this is a further example of soft voting, where it has been applied on a decision tree, a KNN, a kernel based SVM, and then a soft voting technique has been applied, and the decision boundary actually has improved. Okay. Okay, so now I will go and do something else. So I will just take you through a hands-on now. Okay, and basically this is Kaggle environment. If you have not explored this, where you can have your notebooks, and like any Jupyter notebook, you can write your code in both Python and R. So for this particular session, I have used Python. Okay, and let me just edit this. So probably we will not have time for you to, I can tell you to do the hands-on, but you can take a quick note. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, take a data which is called as a sonar data. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. One of the participants may confirm that. So I'm going to use a data set called as sonar data, and basically there is a description over here. Okay, so I'll just directly go to the description. So it has got 207 observations with 61 columns, and the last column is the data we wish to predict. So what actually we want to predict? We want to predict, so it's the sonar data in the sense that you are sending sonar wave under sea. Okay, and you want to find out that whether there is a rock or there is a metal or mine. Okay, so these are the two classes which is present in the last column, R and M, and these are different. The first 60 columns actually gives you different characteristic of this reflected sonar wave. Okay, so what you want to find out is, or what you want to do is that if now you are given a sonar reflected data or characteristic of a data, then you can tell, okay, if it is a rock or it was a metal, okay, or it was a rock or a mine. So that's the data set we are going to use. Now let's come back to our notebook. So what we are going to do is we are going to just read the data, okay? And some of the very useful libraries as far as machine learning is concerned are, of course, pandas, matplotlib, numpy, and scikit or sklearn. Okay, so all of them we are going to use it. Probably I'll not use plot here. And this pandas is actually used for data processing. So this is what I am going to do to read the file, which is in a CSV format. Okay, so I hope you know that CSV is a comma separated format. So let me run this. And it is in a variable which is called as a data frame. And we will merely do something like sonar.head, which will give you an idea about the top 5 rows. So, running is as simple as this. You have to just use this play button, and you can see the different values it has got, right? So I was telling about the 60 odd attributes that are there, which are numerical in nature, and you have a typical class value which are like R. So top 5 rows were R. That's why you see R over here, because you have done a head 5. So you can change this and you can make like head 10. But I believe that it is in a sequential order. The classes are, so you will see still R's. Yeah, you still see R's, but that's how it is. Okay. So next, what I'm going to do is I am going to split this into training and testing. Okay. And when you are doing that, what you will do is you'll segregate out the input variable and the output variable. Okay. So you will use something called as, so the data frame is now in a variable called as sonar, which is a type of data frame variable, which is a table, okay, which is a table in its simple form. And basically there is a notation over here, okay. So this comma, whatever you see like this comma, the comma actually separates the indexes. So there are 2 indexes. One is the row index, another is the column index. Okay, so here what you are saying is actually that you have not mentioned any row index, which means select all the rows. And what are your input rows? So input rows are like 0 to 60th. 60th not being included. So this is what is my input, and the last one, the 60th column, starting from 0. So actually that is the 61st column, which is your target variable. Okay, and then what we are doing is we are actually splitting it into training set and testing set, the purpose of which I have already discussed. Okay, and you will see one interesting thing, that random state equal to 42. So you might be wondering, what is this? Okay, now if you remember, we said that the training and testing set will be generated using random sample. I hope you remember that. Said that the sample that I will generate and the sample you will generate will be different. Okay, so how I can ensure that there is a reproducibility of the result? So whatever accuracy I am telling you, that is what you will also get. So there is no guarantee unless we both of us use same random state. Okay, so let me run this. So my xtrain and xtest are ready. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to create ensemble. So sklearn has a module called as ensemble. So from there I am importing this voting classifier. So whatever we discussed, and we are creating 3 other type of classifiers, which is logistic regression, support vector classifier, and k-nearest neighbor. Okay, and like in any programming language, we are just initializing the classifiers over here, and then we are creating 2 voting classifiers. Okay, in one of them so voting classifier has a syntax like this. So you need to mention the estimators. So estimators meaning that which are the models that are going to be used. Okay, so we are going to use all of ALR, KNN, and SVC. And how we are going to combine them? We are going to combine them using soft voting. And the final one, so this I'm calling as voting CLF, and this I am calling as voting CLF1. Okay, so this is a voting classifier using the same base classifiers, but using the voting as hard. Okay, so if I run this, my classifiers are created, Now I need to use them on my training data. Okay, so I am running them in a loop. Okay, I'm running them in a loop, and I am doing a training on the training set, and then I'm checking or evaluating them on the testing set. Okay, so let me run this. So there is an error because I intended to create a data frame which I'm not using. So this is required. Now let me run again. So see, it has printed that logistic regression has given an accuracy of 80.7%. KNN has given 78.8%. SVC has given 69.2%. The first voting classifier, which is the soft voting classifier, has given 88.46%. And the second one, the hard classifier, has given 82.69%. So you can see that just by using this simple technique, your classification accuracy has improved by 2%. Okay, in case of hard voting, and 8% or around 8% in case of soft voting. So I just have taken them in a data frame, and you can just plot them in a bar plot. Though you have already understood the nuance. Okay, so you can see that even if you compare this one, there is quite a lot of improvement both in soft voting and hard voting. So this is what we want to tell you. Now let's again go back to our presentation.